Have you ever stopped and thought, maybe our whole understanding of talent, what makes someone great, is actually, well, completely wrong? Like, what if we've been searching in all the wrong spots for what really drives people to be exceptional? That's really the big question we're diving into today, exploring Adam Grant's fascinating work in Hidden Potential, the Hidden Potential Playbook. So our mission here is pretty straightforward. We're taking the sources you've given us, these really potent bits from Grant's book, and we're going to, pull out the absolute key insights, the aim, to give you a shortcut, basically, to understanding how to unlock potential for yourself, maybe your team, maybe even your whole company. It's about shifting how you see things.
Yeah, and Grant, he really goes after this deep-seated myth, doesn't he? That greatness is just something you're born with. Instead, he lays out this really strong case that it's things like systems of opportunity, getting lots of feedback quickly, and interestingly, even deliberate discomfort. Those are the real engines of incredible growth. It fundamentally changes how we tend to spot talent, how we coach it, how we reward it. It's a total reset, really.
Absolutely. And it's just packed with stuff that can genuinely make you rethink potential.
Mhm.
Okay, let's unpack this. So maybe we start right where Grant does, with this core idea. Systems beat genes.
Yeah.
He's basically saying, look, it's not about being born brilliant. It's much more about the environment, right? The chances you get. That feels like a pretty big challenge to traditional thinking.
Oh, it absolutely is. Grant argues that, exceptional growth isn't just down to individual talent. It's really driven by having good systems in place, getting that high density feedback, like we mentioned, and actively engaging in, well, deliberate discomfort. And that flies right in the face of how many organizations work. Always looking for the natural talent instead of maybe building the right environment for talent to grow.
Right. And it goes beyond just knowledge, doesn't it? He seems to argue it's deeply about who you are as a person. What does he mean by that exactly?
Well, that's where it gets really interesting, I think. Grant shows pretty convincing evidence that these things he calls character skills, being proactive, sticking with things, bouncing back from setbacks, resilience. These skills actually end up being more predictive of success than pure cognitive ability, especially when the work gets complex. His data suggests the quickest way to lift someone's potential isn't just teaching them more stuff, but to widen the floor. He calls it scaffolded struggle. Think about like learning to ride a bike with training wheels. You still struggle, you might wobble, but you don't crash completely. There's support. He boils it down to this great line. Character compounds faster than IQ.
Huh. That really clicks. Okay, so here's a concept from the book I found. Well, really intriguing. Vuja de. It sounds like the opposite of deja vu, yeah.
Exactly. Vuja de is it's this disciplined practice of looking at familiar things you know inside out, but through completely fresh eyes. It's not just stumbling on something new. It's about intentionally making yourself see the familiar differently. Like look at your daily commute or a routine meeting and ask, how would an outsider, someone totally new, see this? How could it be better?
Yeah.
That kind of mental shift can unlock innovation in really ordinary places. Basically, fresh lenses unlock latent value.
That's brilliant. It makes you wonder how much potential is just sitting there overlooked in our daily routines. Okay, and speaking of learning, what does Grant's research say about the best ways for us, for you listening, to really absorb new knowledge deeply? It's kind of surprising.
Yeah, the data is quite stark, actually. He points to these longitudinal studies showing that learners who actually take the time to teach what they've just learned, they end up retaining about 90% more of the information. And not just that, they get about 65% faster at solving new related problems. So it's more than just a study hack. It actually changes how your brain processes the information, turns passive learning into active ownership. Plus, it creates these community multiplier effects, as he calls them. The core idea, teaching is learning squared. It's exponential.
Wow, teaching is learning squared. I
Yeah.
like that. And that seems to lead us right into another key part of growth, feedback. But specifically, it's not just getting feedback, it's the speed, isn't it?
Precisely. Speed is crucial. Grant highlights research where organizations ditched the old annual review, the slow, often dreaded process, and they replaced it with quick, weekly, maybe 2-minute pulse feedback check-ins. The result. They saw about a 39% faster skill improvement in their people. That tightness of the loop, that granularity, it drastically cuts the time between making a mistake and correcting it. Keeps your brain more adaptable, more plastic. It really shows that the speed of loop beats the size of prize. Quick, small adjustments are often better than big, delayed rewards or critiques.
Okay, so we know struggle can be good, productive discomfort. But how do you actually hit that sweet spot, that optimal marginal discomfort he talks about? How do you push yourself or maybe your team hard enough to grow, but not so hard that everyone just burns out or, shuts down? That seems tricky.
It is tricky, and Grant makes a really important point here. He says psychological safety, feeling safe to fail, is necessary, absolutely, but it's not enough for real growth. The key factor he identifies is this optimal marginal discomfort, tasks that stretch you, that are genuinely hard, but not so hard they feel impossible or break you. It's like finding the Goldilocks zone for challenges, just right. That specific level of stress is what triggers productive struggle, that feeling of, I can just about do this if I really try without causing shutdown. It proves that sweet spot stress is scalable.
Finding that Goldilocks zone.
Hmm.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so we focused a lot on individual stuff, habits, mindsets. How do we take these ideas bigger? How do we create environments, like whole teams or organizations, where this kind of growth can really flourish systemically, not just relying on individuals?
Well, one powerful mechanism Grant points to is role rotation. He uses examples from all over: Olympic coaching teams, Broadway directors. They show that deliberately moving people through different, often unfamiliar roles every 6 to 12 months, it tends to create what he calls polymaths. These are people who become really good at seeing connections across different areas, patterns that specialists might miss precisely because they've had varied experience. The takeaway is pretty clear. Rotation fuels innovation.
That's really insightful. Mixing things up builds broader skills. Okay, but let's get super practical for everyone listening right now. How can you actually start putting these ideas into practice without needing, a massive new budget or trying to overhaul your entire organization overnight? Are there smaller, doable steps?
Oh, definitely. Grant offers a really practical toolkit, things that don't necessarily cost much money or require massive restructuring. He talks about implementing simple protocols, things like regular after-action reviews, just quick debriefs after projects or tasks, or using public commitment contracts, basically writing down goals and sharing them, peer teaching rounds like we discussed earlier. These are structured practices, not just one-offs. They can turn pretty much any group into an engine for deliberate practice, shifting the culture from the inside out. His point is powerful. Protocols trump perks. Smart processes often matter more than fancy benefits.
Protocols, trump perks.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay, wrapping things up a bit, what about the bigger picture, the economic and social side of this? What does embracing this view of potential mean for how we value people in society?
Yeah, Grant's closing argument is quite profound. He basically frames hidden potential as an undervalued asset class. He argues that if institutions get serious about measuring, and more importantly, investing in people who might typically be overlooked, people whose potential hasn't been developed yet, they can actually capture what he calls asymmetric returns. Huge upside. And it's not just good business. It's a way to make opportunity more democratic, more widespread. He calls it inclusion as alpha generation. Finding talent where others aren't looking gives you an edge.
So what does this all mean? I guess it means excellence isn't nearly as rare as we think. It's not some scarce resource we have to find. It's often just,
No,
well, miscultivated, right?
Yeah.
It's there, waiting to be ground.
Exactly. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, Grant's hidden potential is essentially giving leaders a playbook, a guide for taking people who might seem average and helping them become leaders in their field. It's all about intentionally redesigning those feedback loops we talked about, building rituals for accountability, crafting stretch assignments that hit that sweet spot of discomfort. It powerfully makes the case that potential is policy. The systems and rules we create have a massive impact on uncovering potential.
Yeah, the core takeaway really seems to be potential isn't just something you find. It's something you can actively build. It's a journey you undertake, not just a treasure hunt. So reflecting on all this, greatness isn't purely innate. It's built through deliberate systems, through character that's cultivated, through feedback that's fast and useful, and through that smart, productive discomfort. This dive into hidden potential really does flip the script on how we usually think about getting better, about success.
It really does. And by taking these ideas seriously, by actually changing your approach to how you see and develop talent, whether that's your own talent or the talent in your organization, you genuinely have the power to unlock so much potential that's just been sitting there hidden. It's a huge shift.
So maybe the final thought for you to take away is this. What overlooked potential is sitting right there in your life, or maybe on your team, in your organization? Potential just waiting for a small shift in a system, or maybe just a fresh perspective to unleash it. Where could you apply a bit of vujade or find that optimal marginal discomfort, maybe even this week? Something to think about.